I can still picture the shock, frozen on Lydia's face when the handcuffs finally snapped around her wrists, but I'm getting ahead of myself. It all began on a flawless Sunday morning when I stepped outside to admire my freshly polished Crimson Arrow. I'd spent 3 solid hours cleaning every curve of that bright red masterpiece, and the way it shimmered under the sun made every second worthwhile. That's when I saw her striding across the street, arms folded, expression locked in that trademark glare everyone in the neighborhood had come to dread. "Excuse me," she barked, stopping squarely between me and my car. "I'm going to need the keys to that vehicle right now." Her tone carried the unmistakable weight of someone convinced the world answered to her. I blinked, half expecting a hidden camera. "Lydia, what are you talking about?" I asked. "This is my car," I tried to sound composed, though my pulse quickened in confusion. She tilted her chin high, narrowing her eyes. "That isn't your sports car? It used to belong to my brother, and I don't know how you got your hands on it, but if you don't surrender those keys this instant, I'm calling the police." She extended her palm, as if I'd just hand them over without question. Within the hour, officers really would show up, but not for me. I'd moved into Maple Crest Estates barely 3 months earlier. Years of grinding work and careful saving had finally bought me my dream home in what was supposed to be a quiet, upper-class community. The Crimson Arrow GT parked in my driveway was the crown jewel of that dream, something I'd promised myself back when I was a teenager flipping through glossy car magazines. What I hadn't foreseen was the immediate stir it caused among the homeowners, bored especially Lydia Marston, the association president, who seemed personally offended by the car's existence. From the very first day, Lydia made it clear that my pride and joy was. From that moment on, my car became a problem. It started with neatly phrased letters about community appearance standards, followed by not-so-subtle remarks whenever Lydia caught sight of me driving through Maple Crest. "That color really draws attention, doesn't it?" she'd remark, her voice coated in syrup and her smile frozen tight. "Most residents here prefer something a little more understated." I'd smile back just as politely, silently wondering how many times I could rev the engine without technically breaking the noise rules. Things escalated when Lydia began plastering neon-colored warning slips across my windshield. "Vehicle in breach of community guidelines. Excessively showy appearance," read one. Another accused the car of being disruptive to neighborhood harmony. I combed through the association handbook line by line. Nothing mentioned paint colors or car models. The only vehicle rules involved parking placement and maintenance. When I brought this up at the next board meeting, Lydia flicked her hand dismissively. "The council reserves the right to interpret regulations as necessary for the welfare of the community," she said with that condescending finality that ended all discussion. The real turning point came after I upgraded the exhaust. It wasn't loud. I'd chosen a model specifically tuned to stay within acceptable sound limits. Still, the deeper tone immediately drew her attention. The next morning, I spotted her outside phone raised, snapping pictures of my car like it was a crime scene. When she realized I was watching, she strode straight to my door and jabbed the doorbell again and again. "Your vehicle is now in direct violation of neighborhood noise policy," she announced when I opened up. "If you don't remove that modification within 48 hours, I'll have it towed at your cost." Her cheeks were flushed with the rush of authority. She was relishing every second. "Lydia, the exhaust is completely within legal sound limits," I said evenly. "I verified city regulations before I installed it." She leaned closer, dropping her tone to a hiss. "This isn't about city regulations. It's about our association's standards. And as president, I decide what qualifies as a violation." The threat was obvious, but I refused to rise to it. I thanked her for her concern and closed the door. That night, I set up a security camera aimed squarely at my driveway, just to be safe. It turned out to be a wise move. Over the following 2 weeks, Lydia didn't back off, she escalated. Soon, a community-wide email appeared, warning residents about certain individuals intentionally disturbing neighborhood harmony with unsuitable vehicles. She then called an emergency board meeting to propose new automotive appearance guidelines, rules that coincidentally would have singled out cars like mine. When the other members showed little enthusiasm for her crusade, she shifted to more personal tactics. One Saturday morning, I spotted her crouched by the curb, tape measure in hand, calculating the distance between my Aero GT and the sidewalk apparently, searching for a parking infraction. When she caught me looking, she smiled with forced sweetness. "Just fulfilling my responsibilities as HOA president," she said. "Someone has to keep the community in order." The following day, a notice appeared taped to my front door, claiming my vehicle was leaking fluid onto the driveway, a total fabrication. One immediately disproved it with time-stamped photos showing spotless concrete beneath the car. Then came that fateful Sunday, the day Lydia's obsession crossed from harassment into something far more serious. I was outside enjoying the morning warmth while buffing the final bit of wax off the hood of my crimson coupe when Lydia stormed across the street. A handful of neighbors were out walking their dogs, collecting mail-in one by one. They slowed to watch the scene unfold. Lydia planted herself between me and the car, arms locked tight across her chest, a human barricade radiating indignation. "I've had enough of this nonsense," she declared, loud enough for half the block to hear. "That's my brother's sports car and I want the keys." Right now, her voice shook with what might have passed for emotion, but there was something staged about it, something off that sent a warning through me. I stared at her, stunned. "Lydia, what are you even talking about?" I asked. "I bought this car brand new 3 years ago," I said, my voice steady. "Don't lie to me," Lydia shouted, her tone rising with every word. "This is Ryan's car, the same model, the same color. He died last month, and right after that, his car vanished from his garage." She thrust a trembling finger toward the custom license frame. "He had that exact frame? You stole it, and I'm going to prove it." By now, several neighbors had crept closer, pretending not to film while their phones hovered in plain sight. I exhaled slowly, forcing calm into my voice. "Lydia, I'm sorry about your brother, but this is my vehicle. I've got every document to back it up." I reached for my phone, but she suddenly lunged, her hand darting toward my key fob. "Give me those keys," she demanded, her face twisting with fury. "That car belongs to my family." I stepped back, holding the keys out of reach, which only fueled her anger. "You're a thief," she screamed. "A con artist who moved into our neighborhood thinking no one would notice." "I'm calling the police," I said firmly, maintaining a safe distance. "This has gone too far." Lydia's expression shifted from outrage to a smug, gleeful satisfaction. "Too late," she said, her tone triumphant. "I already did. I called 911 before coming over. Reported a stolen vehicle in progress. They'll be here any minute to arrest you and recover my brother's car." Almost on cue, the faint wail of sirens began to echo through the air, growing louder as they neared our street. 2 patrol cars rolled up moments later, lights flashing, and 3 officers stepped out, scanning the scene with careful uncertainty. Lydia sprinted toward them, pointing an accusatory finger in my direction. "That's him, officers. That's the man who stole my brother's car," she cried, tears suddenly spilling down her cheeks. "I have the spare key at home and all the paperwork." He must have hotwired it. The lead officer, a woman with calm, professional eyes, composed and steady, instructed us to keep our distance while they sorted everything out. "Sir, can you show proof of ownership for this vehicle?" she asked. "Of course," I replied, unlocking my phone and opening my digital glovebox app. "I've got copies of the title, registration, insurance papers, and the original purchase contract from the dealership." I handed her my phone, the documents clearly displaying my name. "I also have the physical copies inside if you'd like to verify them." The officer scrolled through the digital records, then asked politely to see the originals as well. I stepped inside, gathered the paperwork along with the dealer's signed sales agreement, and brought them out. As I handed everything over, Lydia grew visibly agitated. "Those are fake," she snapped, her voice climbing toward hysteria. He probably edited his name onto my brother's documents. Check the VIN, it'll match Ryan's car. The officers did check. They ran the VIN against their system, and the results confirmed exactly what I'd been saying. The car was registered to me and had been for 3 years. Ma'am, one of the officers asked carefully, can you show us any proof that your brother owned this specific vehicle? Lydia's confident mask cracked for a brief second before she recovered. I don't have them with me right now, she said quickly. But if you come to my house, I can show you pictures of Ryan with the car. It's identical, same color, same model, same everything. The officers exchanged glances. Ma'am, the lead one said evenly, even if your brother had a similar vehicle, that doesn't prove this car was his. All the documentation confirms ownership belongs to this gentleman. Lydia's face turned crimson. You're not listening to me, she screamed. He forged those papers. Somehow this is my brother's car, and I want him arrested. Before anyone could react, she lunged toward me again, reaching for my pocket where I'd stashed my keys. Give me those keys right now, she shrieked. The officers stepped in fast, restraining her and pulling her back. Ma'am, you need to calm down, the lead officer ordered firmly. But Lydia was past reason. You're all useless, she yelled, thrashing against their grip. That's my car, Ryan's car. I'm the president of this homeowners board, and I demand you do your job, Lydia shouted. She jerked free from the officer's hold and lunged again, her hand snatching at my pocket hard enough to rip the fabric. That was it. The officers immediately restrained her, and despite her frantic protests, they pulled out the cuffs. Lydia Marston, you're under arrest for filing a false report. Attempted theft and assault, the lead officer said evenly, reading her rights with practiced calm. The expression on Lydia's face is something I'll never forget, pure disbelief. Her eyes went wide, as though she couldn't process that she was the one being taken into custody. This is outrageous, she sputtered as they guided her toward the squad car. Do you know who I am? I'm the president of Maple Crest Estates. You can't arrest me for protecting my property. Later that afternoon, I learned from neighbors that Lydia had officially been charged with the same offense as the officer, listed false reporting, attempted theft and assault. The evidence against her was overwhelming. Multiple witnesses and clear video footage of her trying to seize my keys. Even more astonishing, investigators discovered that Lydia didn't even have a brother named Ryan. The entire story had been fabricated from the start. Her bail was set at $25,000, and a restraining order was issued, forbidding her from coming within 100 feet of me or my home. The fallout was immediate. The HOA board held an emergency vote and unanimously removed her as president. Her employer, a local property agency that prided itself on integrity, suspended her, without pay pending the case's outcome. When the local news picked up the story, complete with video of her shouting, "That's my car!" while being led into the police cruiser, her professional reputation crumbled overnight. The final blow landed 3 months later at her sentencing. Despite hiring a high-priced attorney who argued she'd been acting under temporary emotional distress, the judge showed no leniency. Lydia received 6 months in county jail, 2 years probation, and a $5,000 fine plus court costs. As the bailiff escorted her from the courtroom, her expression was one of stunned disbelief, the dawning realization that her actions had real consequences finally setting in.